Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
Dang it. Ah, man.
Well, we're right back here where it all started at the scene of the crime, where the inflatable paint booth just collapsed right onto our hood. One of you guys even said it was staged for views. If I staged it for views, I probably would have done it on the base coat and not the clear coat. Well, let's talk about how we got to this point right here. Now, if you're new to this series, remember we picked up this hood from the junkyard and we got it for only 50 bucks. We completely stripped it. We got epoxy primered. We did some body work. From there, we used our 2K urethane primer, got that all down. We sanded it all up. We put it in the booth, and then, well, the booth collapsed. That's kind of how we got here now. But before the booth collapsed, prior to that, I actually went ahead underside of the hood and sanded it down. I put base coat down on the underside so it would be the same color as the top side. And well, after all of that happened, we're back here with the clear coat that just looked horrible. Now, some of you thought you could just sand it down and put clear on it. Guys, it was bad. I originally started with a 400 grit to see if I can kind of smooth it out and not have to do any more additional work. I had to jump down to a 320 grit. 320 really wasn't cutting it. And then we had to go down to a 180. I knew at that point it had to be completely taken down. So we used a P180 to really get it all nice and flat as we could. Now, once we did that, of course, it's going to require a primer. So we got our turbine all back out, got it set up, and we're really getting good with the turbine. So we're able to lay down 2 coats of the 2K urethane high surfacer primer. This is a black primer. We let that completely flash off. Now, once we let that flash off and dry, then we were able to come with the P320 block. We're using some water to really help that block and that sandpaper and the longevity to get a nice cleaner cut. So we did a lot of blocking because uneven areas within the panel that we needed to make sure were completely flat. So we did a lot of blocking there, but that left us with a P320 scratch, which is a little bit too aggressive because we're not going to be sealing. So then we took a little bit of time and we took it P600. We used the P600 to remove those P320 grit scratches. We took a lot of time to do that, but we made sure that we removed all those P320 grit scratches so we wouldn't see them in the metallic. And then from there, we give it a nice scuff with a great scuff pad and some water. And that's how we're here right now. Now, we're going to get everything reset up. And I read a lot of your comments, a lot of great information about, well, we should build a skeleton inside, which I think is a great idea. I really want this booth to work the way it's supposed to with the power not going out. And I think a skeleton is a great idea. I think a canopy is a great idea. All those are great ideas if you plan on keeping this thing up and using it very often. This is something that I lug in and I lug out, and it takes a while. And the setup, I just want it to be in and out. So there's a couple different things that we've done today to make this inflatable booth work. And in the future, what I hear is they have inflatable booths that will hold themselves up. So let's go and take a look at a couple things that we're going to be changing so the issue where it drops down doesn't happen again. So guys, if you remember, this is the problem that we were having. We're having too much power. This requires a lot of power, pulls a lot of amps. And we had everything stupidly hooked up to one circuit here. Not too smart, guys. I kind of knew that might be a problem, but you know, it's not a problem until it's a problem. Well, it became a problem. So here's the plan. We're going to leave this guy here hooked up to this power. And I went over to Lowe's and I ended up picking up one of these big guys. This is what you guys recommended. It's a 12 gauge. I believe this is probably about 100 feet. And we're going to run this to somewhere inside of the house. That way we don't have it on the same circuit. So we'll go ahead and run this into the house, and then we'll have our 2 fans going directly into here. And then from there, well, I have another idea that I came up with, and I think it might be a safety. We're actually going to have 2 safeties. So basically, we're going to allow this to be inside of the house. So let's say that the circuit inside the house completely just goes out. Well, this circuit right here is still going to be good because they're on 2 separate circuits. So what I'll end up having to do only is just take my fan and just plug it directly right into here, and I'm going to have everything ready to go in case that happens. I'll be able to run out. You've got about maybe 15 seconds to react before the thing just goes down. So you gotta listen and you gotta react really quick. So let's go ahead and get this set up inside the house, and then we have a couple more things I want to show you guys once we get this thing blown up. This thing's kind of cool because it's just all on the reel there. And if you're like me, you don't like rolling up extension cords. So pretty thick wire here, hopefully should be able to hold the power, no problem. We actually have a separate circuit here, so we don't even need to go into the house. All right, there we go. Now, last time I put this thing up, I really didn't wind it up because they're a pain to wind up. The one thing I love about making these videos at home is it puts me in the driver's seat of, I would say, 90% or maybe 80% of my viewers. And it really helps me relate to what you guys got going on. So more videos like this, give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment if you like videos like this. It's the only way we're gonna be able to learn together to see what the issues are at home so I can give you the best possible advice. When you're in the booth, we're a professional. Let's be honest, things don't go half as wrong as they would at home. Although things will go wrong, there's gonna be a lot more variables when you're trying to set up your paint booth with the air blower. But talking about these booths, some people will say, you know, not a fan of them. They come down. It's true. But one thing I do like about them is they keep the garbage and the flies and all that stuff. Like the stuff that flies around out here when I was priming it, there was like little dust and flies that just landed in it. It keeps all of that out. It gives you somewhat of a controlled environment. It keeps the overspray off of everything. So we're gonna figure out a way to make it work. All right, and I think I left it, yep. Ooh, lizard, sorry guys. I'm not scared of lizards at all, but I'm scared of things that just jump up on you. Doesn't matter what it is. And there's two fans. This is the fan that moves the air inside of the booth. I used a smaller one last time because I didn't want to take too much amperage and blow the circuit. Well, you know how that went. This one is amps 9.6. And I believe my cord is 15 amps. I don't know too much about electricity. I guess it shows. But let me know if that's going to be good, that cord for this fan. So here's my idea. So let's say this goes out, right? So, all right, so here's my idea. I really feel like that won't go out as much as the breaker will for the actual fans, because I feel like they pull a lot more power. So I'm banking on this never going out. So that's why I'm not putting the fan on this one. So I'm putting the fan on this one all the way over there with the extension cord. So God forbid it goes out again, I'm gonna just take this cord and plug it right into here. Let's say they both go out, right? So I came up with this little idea in my sleep that let's say it goes out. Well, the whole booth is gonna hold air if it doesn't have anywhere to escape. So how does it deflate? Well, there's no holes or zippers that it deflates from, really. It deflates from coming back through the fan and releasing, right? So it just deflates here because the fan's pushing air. When it goes out, it just releases back through the fan. So if I can have a zip tie safety ready in a case where it goes out, I can basically zip tie it super tight here, is what I'm thinking, right? Like scrunchie it super tight, and then that should hold the air in until I can put the circuit breaker back on or whatever it would be. That would be my ideal plan. Now, obviously, this isn't really ideal with like 6 different zip ties when you're in a big panic, trying to get them all to tighten up. But I will go to the store and get much longer zip ties, so I can probably just put one around here and have that quick safety just to make it tight. And then that's greatly going to help me in the meantime to figure out the problem. So zip tie plan, hopefully it works pretty good. I'll tighten it up a little bit once we get some air in here. But we're ready to blow this thing up and, well, see what happens. All right, so this is what we got going on here. We got 2 blowers. Again, this is the blower that just circulates air inside, pushes more air to move all the overspray out through the vents. And this is our safety. Hopefully we don't have to use it, but I am gonna test it out at the end of the video to see if it does work when we go to deflate this. But basically, if we're having any situation where it starts to deflate, I'm just gonna zip tie this tight. Hopefully it will tighten it up enough to keep the air in it. And if this guy goes out again, we're just gonna take this and plug it in. I'm gonna get a little extension cord from here to there so I don't have to pull it because the cord's not long enough. So I just wanna have everything completely ready to go. Yeah, there we go. I don't know how better prepared I can be than to have that all ready to go. So I gotta drop some things off and we're gonna go ahead and get started here. We're all set up, guys. We've been using the Prep All Ultra Universal Surface Cleaner. The reason why I like this is kind of like a combination of wax and grease remover and water-based. So everyone's asking me, where can I get the 2 cleaners? This is in one. I've been using it with really, really good results. And if you want to support the channel, again, Colad comes out with these awesome pump sprayers. This is the Paint Society logo. Some of you might think you can go to Home Depot and you can get one for like $15, which you can, but it won't last. The seals inside will just completely start leaking. You got to pay a little bit of money to get one of these pump sprayers, even if it doesn't have the Paint Society logo on it, doesn't matter. The automotive, auto body ones are made to really withstand the chemicals within some of these cleaners. So we'll get this poured into here and we'll get the surface cleaned and then we'll keep on moving. And again, all products that you see being used in the videos are in the description, including the new Paint Society shirts. We get the import design as well as the American design. Colad really has done a great job working with Paint Society and just putting out some cool designs really for all of the members if they want to go ahead and support the channel. But the way this works is very simple. Take it off, it's got everything in it. And then with this stuff, it goes on a little bit weird. It kind of is like thick, it's really thick and milky. It's got those 2 chemicals together and you really got to wipe it off. But it does a really good job of removing a lot of the contaminants from the surface. Now, one thing about the turbine that we're using, guys, is it's great because you're not gonna have to worry about oil, water, anything we're using a turbine system, but you wanna make sure that we have all of our surface prep completely clean. Ugh. There's always issues. All right, so we'll get that all cleaned up. Give this some pumps and we'll take it inside the booth. And we're using the tearaway microfibers. These are great because you can use them for a good amount of time. They absorb, they don't leave any sort of lint. Now this stuff you want to put on pretty liberally. You want to make sure it's on the surface. And then we'll do our best to wipe it in all one direction so we don't spread around any contaminants on the surface. And as we wipe this down, you have some areas that you think might be metal. It's not. If you've been following the series, it's just primer from underneath. So that's a breakthrough to primer. I do recommend if you are in a professional environment to seal this up. But since we're at home, that's another step that things can go wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and skip that step, and to remedy that, we sanded the surface really well, just to make sure that we're not going to have any issues with sand scratching. You see, you really want to wipe this stuff off as best as you can in one direction. That just really helps to keep any of the contaminants going off of the surface and not all over the place. Kind of flip my rag around a little bit. The base coat here is sanded with 600 grit as well, so the transition between the primer and the base coat is seamless. All right, if you tuned in last time, remember we picked up this mixer off of Amazon for like 25 bucks. Basically, that helps to mix anything that's in a gallon that you get from the paint store. I'm not sure if they have in a quart size, but I know they do have in a gallon size. So we've already been mixing this up quite a few minutes, but we want to make sure all the metallics, everything is nice and mixed up appropriately. Now, we are using the Apollo Precision 6. A couple things I've been learning on the spray gun is that this guy right here needs to be completely turned out. This will limit the amount of air that comes in if you have it turned in to the right. We want to have this guy completely turned out. Now on the fluid, I'm going to have it set at wide open, and to do that, it's the same as a regular paint gun. Almost all the way out, hold the trigger, turn it into the right. Once it stops, it's set at wide open. So basically from here, you have your fan adjustment, and also the BHS is what you're going to want to use with your base coat and clear coat. Big learning curve with these guys. If you don't get it good right away, just take some time and work on it because they do work good. We've got a 0.8 in here for base coat and clear coat. Traditionally 1.3 we would have for base coat and clear coat, but when you're using a turbine, they recommend if you use like a 1.3, step it down to a 0.8, and same thing with primers. So this one's all ready to go. This is the turbine cup I picked up from 3M. And since this is already reduced in the gallon from Eastwood, this is their OEM Select paint, we are good to go. The only thing that took me like so long to figure out when I was using these is like, how do I get this on top here and get this on top here? It doesn't make any sense. Well, it dawned on me, you got to remove the collar from it. Okay, you can break it off if you want. And then that goes down. And then from here, you just line the tabs up. And then you're good to go. So basically, with the PPS 3M, like any other spray gun, goes in here. And you connect your air right into here. And that's all there is to it. So we're ready to start spraying some base. Now today's around 75 degrees. If I got out here earlier and got this done, then it would have been better. But I'm liking where it's at now because this morning there was bugs everywhere. It's kind of settled down a little bit. I'm gonna use my tack rag to tack this guy off. And if we can get out of this in about 2 coats, it's gonna be better. The more coats you put on in base, the more gritty it's gonna get, and the tougher it is gonna get a smoother, clear finish. So we're gonna take it easy around the areas where we have some cut throughs. We're gonna put some base on those areas first, let it set up, and then we'll go ahead and attack the whole hood. All right, so we put down our first little coat. Now the cool thing with the turbine, since the system doesn't want to overrun itself, you'll hear beeping sometimes in the video, and that's just to pretty much tell you, hey, if you're not using it, I'm gonna give you a warning and it's gonna turn off by itself. So in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, if you are spraying, you have to trigger it down and then let off of the trigger completely, and then that will stimulate the turbine and say, hey, I am still using it, don't shut off. So you might hear that beeping here and there. It might actually even do it in a little bit now. You hear it? You just started hearing it. So basically, if I don't do this, see, now it kicks back on. It's a safety feature. So I think that it's probably like 1 minute or so that feature will start to come on. It's kind of hot out here, so it's already flashed off, and you can see we got a little bug there. Hopefully it's just in the base, not the clear. So we're gonna put on a second coat here. This coat's gonna be a lot wetter because if we're putting on dry coats, it's gonna land gritty and yucky. That was a good second coat. We're only gonna put one more coat on it and that's it. We got really good coverage here. Let's let it set up for a couple minutes. One more wet coat and we're done. All right, that looks good. Now second real coat we're gonna put on. No fancy tricks, no orientation, drop coat, any of that. If you try to do that in a turbine, in an inflatable booth, things drying so quick, you're gonna make it dirtier, you're gonna make it grittier. Let's just put it on wet. It's doing a great job as is. Let's not mess with what's working. Stop. There we go. All right, let's let this flash off or clear. All right, we'll let this rest. The Apollo Precision 6 Pro, hefty price, right? A lot of you do-it-yourselfers, you don't want to spend the money on something like this if you're not really going to paint the car. You just want to get a cheap compressor. Makes 100% sense to me. However, if you're gonna be planning on painting stuff in your garage, let's talk about some things. Compressor, you know, 2,500, and then you just got the compressor. Then you gotta buy the refrigerator, you gotta buy the filters, you gotta pipe it in, you gotta buy some more filters. You know, it takes up all this space, and you can't put this in the back of your car. But again, it is a compressor that's here and ready to go. It's a powerful compressor. You can run a lot of different tools off of it. So you really have to decide what's gonna be good for you. So again, these are just things that you're gonna have to really decide what's gonna be best for you. But over time, you're maybe spending another $600, another $400, another $300 to get it all to do what the turbine did. And again, the turbine just plugs into the wall. But the turbine does take a little bit of it's an acquired taste. It takes some time to get used to. It does not spray like a spray gun, conventional spray gun would. But once you can really get good at the turbine, you're gonna find that the overspray is less. You're gonna find that the paint savings is greater. I mean, we've got about maybe, I'll show you the cup, probably like 4 ounces that we use to cover that whole hood with 2.5 coats. I mean, let me show you what we got left. All right, so basically, let's see what we have left. I would say, see the cup's not all the way at the bottom. I would say we use maybe about 5 or 6 ounces, and we're done. So we'll save this, we'll keep it in a cup, we'll put the top on it. We're probably gonna have to blend the fenders in a future video anyways, but we're gonna be using the same gun and we're not gonna be changing anything. We're just gonna go ahead and give it a good cleaning and we'll be good for clear coat, and hopefully the booth stays up this time. All right, we got the Eastwood Show Clear all ready to go. Now on this particular one, since I do see there's some bugs in the air, and thank God the bugs are the same color as the hood, but I'm gonna put down the first coat the way I want it to look. And the reason why is because if there's any bugs, I want them to be as much as possible on the top of the clear and not like a grit coat where it's buried in there and it'll be hard to get out. But there'll definitely be a wet sand and polish video after this. Now, this is when the last time that the booth fell down. This is exactly when it started to happen. So let's just take a moment. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. All right, now that we got that done, let's go ahead and clear coat.
Wow. That looks great. Not even too foggy. It's a little foggy, but for a whole hood, not too bad. Nice gloss. Roof still up. I'm gonna make one change though.
So the paint was coming out a little slow. I'm gonna change over to the 1.0 tip set. This is gonna allow for a little bit more of that clear material to go on. So on the second coat, I can really lay it down a little wetter. So there's a lot of different variations of tip sets that are available. 0.5 all the way up, I believe, to 2.0, maybe even bigger, and everything in between. But we're gonna change to the 1.0 and see how that works out. And that's the 0.8 right there, and we're gonna switch it over to the 1.0 right there. All loaded up, ready to go for the second coat. We're gonna slam it on.
Better. Oh, it's better. Wow. It's going on so much smoother. Wow. Okay. Dang it. Ah, ran a Let's overspray clear out.
Let the overspray clear out. Let's see. Oh, that was close, guys. I almost ran out of clear at the end, and it's so hot in here in the booth. If you don't get that clear on at the same time you're spraying, and you go to spray new clear, it's not gonna mesh in. It's not gonna melt in all the time. Thankfully, I did have extra mixed up in case that happened, and I was able to go and put some in there. And let's take a look at it. I'm thinking it looks really good, but it doesn't matter what it looks like now. It matters kind of what it looks like later. Is it gonna die back? Is it gonna hold its gloss? That's why it's so important, guys, to get the overspray out of there as quick as you can. Check this thing out, man. It's about, that was 5 or 6 minutes after. It looks super nice, super clean. I mean, there's dirt here and there, but there's not like any more dirt than there would be at the shop. You know, I mean, look at this. Oh, look at that little hanger. It's a good thing we came in now. I think this is where I doubled it up because I had put extra on. That's the fun part. Just take it right off. Look your finger. We can buff that if we need to later. Yeah, this side's good. You see a little bit of the color there in the sun. But take a look at it, guys. I mean, look at the shine. I mean, there is a couple, well, that's maybe a bug or something, I don't know. But we're gonna buff this. But the main thing I'm caring about is it mottled? No, because we have to repaint if it's mottled. Is there orange peel? No, there's no orange peel, really. It's nice and smooth. Can we buff a lot of this stuff? Yeah, of course. That's what we're gonna make a video about. In the next video, we're gonna take this whole thing down, we're gonna sand it down, and we're gonna polish it up. But I think most of you guys would probably be happy with a finish just like this. I mean, yeah, I'm really, really stoked. Granted, there's dirt. There is dirt here and there. You could put a third coat on, but sometimes if you put a third coat on, what happens is too much paint, and then you get solvent pop, you get dye back, and you get into yourself in situations where you can't buff it out. Like, it might leave little white dots everywhere. It might just be too much paint. But let's thank God that the booth has not come down, and let's just let chemistry do its thing and dry. Here it is, guys. A few hours later, we left the booth on. You really want that air to circulate so you have as least dye back as possible. Did it dye back a little bit? Yes, it did. It shriveled up a little bit. You can see in this area, you always have a really good amount of gloss, and then when it starts to dye or once it starts to dry, it'll kind of cringe up a little bit. And that will happen. Better clears won't do that. And when you see that, the best thing that you can do, leave it alone, let this cure, and then we're gonna go ahead and just completely cut this whole thing flat in the next episode. And I want you to see it, guys, because on video you might not see it, but there's little dirt nibs throughout once it dries. You'll think, wow, I did such a good job, and I was showing you guys, well, we did such a good job, right? But how come now it looks like, not like what it looked like before? This is stuff that's gonna happen in your home. These are things that are gonna happen. I mean, look at the dirts and all that. I don't want you to freak out about dirts and stuff like this. They are everywhere. I'm going to be 100%. Once it started to dry, it shriveled up. They are everywhere. But they're not necessarily big craters. They're just little tiny spots. So hang tight, let that dry 48 hours, really let it get hard. And then from there, we're gonna show you how we're gonna make this look completely flawless. And we're gonna do it here on the channel. So hope you guys enjoyed it. let's go ahead and check out the booth right now. We're gonna go do my zip tie little trick and see if that worked out. All right, let's emulate it turning off. Put this in the right spot. Oh no, the power just went out. Let's count about 10 seconds. 6, 7, 8. All right, it already went down. Look at that. The reaction time. The reaction time has to be instant. Has to be instant. So if you're thinking about using the zip tie method, there's not enough time. There's just not. In theory, it sounds good. So yeah, that's debunked. I thought it would have worked a lot better, maybe with one big zip tie instead of like the 5. I had to keep on, tightening up. But I hope you guys learned something from the video. And guys, this is Brian from Paint Society reminding you, don't overthink it. It's just paint. Let's check out that hood in the sun.